The laughter still rings in my mind, polite, shallow, and rehearsed. I can still picture the chandeliers glittering above that long oak table, the white tablecloths, the shimmer of wine glasses filled to the brim. My wife's father lifted his glass like a king addressing his court. "Dave," he said, flashing that smug, fatherly grin. "We've decided to remove you from the company's operations. You were never really deserving of it." Laughter followed, his, my wife's, her brother's, even her mother's fragile giggle. Then he added, turning toward the head of the table, "Your wife's new partner will take your place." The room went still. Then more laughter. Some thought it was a joke. It wasn't. I looked at my wife. She couldn't meet my eyes. That told me everything I needed to know. I smiled faintly, took a sip of my wine, and let the silence settle. 2 days later, their world began to crumble. When I met Clara, I was still working with my hands, building things from scratch. I wasn't born into their circle. I earned my way into it. Long hours, raw drive, the kind of hunger money can't imitate. Her father noticed. He used to joke that I was a street rat who learned to wear a suit. I'd laugh it off. Clara called me grounded. I believed her. We built our lives around his logistics empire, one he had inherited, not created. But I was the one who modernized it, introduced automation, integrated software, streamlined contracts. That was all me. At every gala, they'd praise me. "Dave's the reason we're still in business," her father would boast. I mistook that for respect. I was wrong. To them, I wasn't family. I was a tool, useful but replaceable. The first signs came quietly: hesitant suppliers, delayed payments. Then I found the email I wasn't supposed to. Her father was discussing leadership restructuring. Clara's name was on the thread. So was a man named Lucas, the smooth consultant she'd introduced as a friend helping out. The email read, "Transition plan approved. Clara to oversee operations. Lucas to replace Dave pending board confirmation." The sting was sharp but brief. Then came clarity. She wasn't just involved. She was orchestrating it. That night, I didn't confront her. I made her tea, kissed her forehead goodnight. When she fell asleep, I backed up every internal company file onto an external drive and locked it away. That night, I stopped being a husband. I became an observer, calm, deliberate, dangerous. No confrontation, just strategy. First move, finances. They thought I was just an operations manager. But every system, payroll, procurement, logistics, ran through access keys that only I controlled. I quietly transferred all administrative rights to a holding entity under a shell corporation, Northwell Logistics Holdings. No one noticed. The name blended perfectly with the dozens of subsidiaries I'd built for tax efficiency. Second move, contracts. Months earlier, I'd added a clause to key supplier agreements, automatic termination upon leadership change, unless renewed by me. They'd never even read it. Third, investors. Over quiet coffees, I told our minority partners there were internal discrepancies and advised them to pause funding until things stabilized. They froze their capital immediately. Fourth, the board. Her father bragged about controlling it. What he didn't know was that 2 members owed me. One because I covered his son's embezzlement, the other because I'd bared a lawsuit for him. Both promised their loyalty in any emergency vote. Fifth, Clara. I separated our finances, transferred my personal funds, and froze all joint accounts. By the time she'd notice, her cards would be useless. Each move was quiet, precise. By the time they toasted my removal, I'd already stripped the foundation out from under them. The chaos hit Monday morning. Payroll collapsed first. Hundreds of employees saw zeros in their accounts. Calls started flooding in. Then the truck stopped. Suppliers had severed contracts overnight. By noon, investors demanded an emergency meeting. By evening, the board suspended operations pending audit. Clara called 22 times that day. I didn't answer. Her final message said, "Dad's furious." "What did you do?" I didn't reply. The audit had already begun. The auditors were from Northwell Holdings, my company. Every document they reviewed led to the same finding. mismanagement, nepotism, unauthorized restructuring. By the next morning, the board invoked the emergency clause removing her father from control. According to the charter, interim authority passed to the founding operations architect. That was me. I walked back into that office not as an employee, but as the owner. Their faces said it all. Clara pale, her father flushed, Lucas sweating through his collar. The same people who laughed at that dinner now couldn't look me in the eye. They thought I was gone. They never realized I'd been everywhere all along. 3 days later, that same dining hall hosted an emergency family meeting. Only this time, I sat at the head of the table. Her father spoke first. "You think you can humiliate us, Dave? This company." I raised a hand. "This company," I interrupted, "is mine, and technically you all work for me now." Silence. He gave a brittle laugh. "You can't prove that." I slid a folder across the table. Board minutes, ownership filings, signatures. His laughter died. I turned to Clara. "You replaced me with Lucas. How's that working out?" She opened her mouth, then shut it again. Lucas stared at his phone, pretending to scroll. "I'm not here for revenge," I said softly. "I'm here for closure." That was a lie. It was revenge, elegant, calculated, and public. The final strike came when I announced a sale. Northwell Holdings, my shell company, had just accepted an acquisition offer from an international group. The payout would be enormous, but it excluded all parties involved in recent misconduct. That meant Clara, her father, Lucas, every single one of them, cut out for good. Her father trembled. "You'll destroy everything." I met his eyes. "No, I'll rebuild without the rot." Then I walked out just as I had that night at dinner. Only this time, no laughter followed, just silence. 2 weeks later, I moved into a smaller apartment overlooking the city. No marble floors, no family portraits. Just quiet. The company stabilized. The sale finalized. The money didn't feel like victory. It felt like proof. Clara sent one last message. Was it worth it? I typed deleted, retyped, then finally sent. It was never about worth. It was about truth. Sometimes I think back to that night, the dinner, the laughter, the humiliation. It taught me something I'll never forget. Power doesn't come from being invited to the table. It comes from owning it. Now, when I raise a glass, it's not to them, it's the silence. The sound of justice settling quietly into place. And if they ever meet again to laugh about the man they thought they could replace, I hope they remember the sound their empire made when it fell. It wasn't a bang. It was a toast, interrupted. In the end, I didn't lose a family or a company. I just discovered who they belonged to all along.